On another subject, I was wondering if you'd talk a little bit about the origins of choke, and the notion of what Victor actually ends up doing, and how, I guess, had you seen someone who had done that, or the idea of faking choking, and as a part of a con game?
The summer of 1999 was such a suck summer. It's Fight Club was supposed to be released early in the summer, but then I think it was the Columbine shootings happened, so they bumped the release date to October. And I was getting to be this media darling, and I was in the yard one day with the telephone doing all these phone interviews, and Time Magazine was supposed to call at 3 o'clock. The publicist said, Time Magazine is going to call. Make sure that you're free at 3. So I had the phone right there, and the phone rang, and it was the publicist, and she said, this might be a joke, but a police detective just called from Latah, Idaho, and they found a dead body, and they think it might be your father. So here's a phone number in Idaho, you need to call them back. And I called them back, and the next day I went up and identified my father's dead body. But it was such a strange, horrible juxtaposition of promoting the movie and having to do all of these very high energy things, juxtaposed with going and getting my father's dental records and meeting with a medical examiner and looking at this very badly burned body to identify it. And the disconnect between the two, very happy thing, very horrible thing. And one night I was driving back from one of these long trips to Idaho, and I was still dressed up. I was wearing a jacket and a tie, and I thought, I just can't take it. I am so exhausted. I so don't want to go on with my life. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pull over to the side of the road. There's not much traffic. And before another car comes, I'm going to walk a few steps up. I'm going to lie face down in the gravel with my headlights on me. And someone's going to come along and they're going to call the police and say somebody's collapsed on the road. And eventually I'm going to lay there in the dirt until somebody with a badge and a gun comes and puts 2 fingers against the side of my neck. And then very gently says, sir, are you okay? Sir, can you hear me? Can you tell me your name? Sir? And very gently kind of rolls me over and says, it's okay. It's all going to be okay. I so wanted that. I wanted somebody with authority to come and just touch me and say, it's going to be okay. And I did it. I pulled over. I walked ahead. I laid down in the dirt in my best clothes, and I waited. And I waited. And I waited, and nobody came along. And as I'm laying in the dirt, I thought, what about a guy who just pretends to choke in restaurants? So that somebody embraces him and seemingly saves his life, and he can have that breakdown in their arms while they're saying, you're going to be okay, everything's all right, you're going to be okay. And eventually, I got up, I dusted myself off, I got back in the car and drove home, and I started writing Choke. But in a way, I come from a family where people really don't know how to express either their affection or their need for affection. So many of my books are people trying to fool each other into expressing affection, or expressing it in very indirect ways. And so that's kind of par for the course. The guy going to the support groups to get hugged in Fight Club, the guy faking choking and Choke, just all of these ways of fooling people into meeting your emotional needs.